The accessibility of decision makers is really something that I think we probably take for granted, but is definitely the secret sauce. It allows us to move things forward. I often tell people,
hey everyone, welcome back to Behind the Scenes with TK Business Magazine. I'm your host, Danielle J. Martin, and we have a special episode with the newest CEO of the Greater Topeka Partnership, Molly Howey. Molly, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super honored to have you here. Thank you for letting me have this moment with you. It's first of all, just a powerful powerhouse moment, okay, to see a female behind this position. Long time coming. You were just earlier talking to me about the process behind this extensive national search when it came to finding the CEO position for the Greater Topeka Partnership. And so now they have identified you. Tell me about that moment when your name was called. What was going through your mind?
When I was selected,
yes,
at the end, after the long journey, gosh, there had been many checkpoints along the way. And so I think I knew this was the final checkpoint when I looked at my phone and saw the search firm was calling me, right? And so I think I hesitated a minute before I pressed accept on my phone and answered the call. But I was thinking pretty positively and also just had a lot of faith in the search committee, the team here locally, the stakeholders and business leaders that were involved in that process. And I really came into it eyes wide open, knowing that the people around that table making the decision really care about Topeka. And if I wasn't the one chosen, then there must be somebody pretty awesome that I was going to work for. Yeah. So I was trying to be really, really open about any scenario and any final result.
Yeah. And for many people that don't know, I'm sure many of us do, but for those who don't, you have been in leadership with the Greater Topeka Partnership and GO Topeka for many years. So you're familiar with leadership. It doesn't scare you, right? And so kind of tell me about just the excitement you have behind kind of taking this step forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exciting. So I've been with GO Topeka for 14 years and in that time seen a lot of great changes in the organization and in the community. And I don't think I thought that I would be here as long as I have been, but there have just been continual projects and things that I really want to see through. Mm-hmm. So it was like there's never a time that I wanted to kind of give up on what was in the works. Mm-hmm. And the leadership journey is something that I feel like everybody is continually on or should be on. And so this felt like a natural progression in my leadership journey.
And then I think even thinking to the timeline of where we're at, right? Like Topeka is in a very pivotal moment of transitioning, right? We're seeing a lot of development downtown. We're seeing a lot of development really around the city. And so now stepping into this role, talk to me about your plans for this city and what can we expect?
Sure. So there's a lot of really great projects kind of bubbling under the surface, some that we can't really talk about yet, but that was another piece that drove me to really wanting to take on this role because I knew that I had a lot of relationships and foundation and involvement in a lot of those projects and believe that I can just take those through to the finish line. So that was kind of, another piece that drove me is seeing those things into fruition. And I think that there's a lot of goals that the community has that I also align with, but there's some also more basic things that I really have at the top of my list. Mm-hmm. And some of those are just like getting back into the community and collaborating with our partner organizations a little bit more and opening up our doors again and saying, hey, who do we not have at the table? Mm-hmm. What people and organizations and initiatives should we be collaborating with, and then really assessing what our role should be in those collaborations, whether we should be the lead or someone else should be the lead, and what our appropriate role should be to drive the future.
And for your time here in Topeka, you mentioned more than 14, 15 years here in leadership. Talk to me about the evolution of Topeka as far as like the projects that you've been a part of, the progression you've seen in the city. What project did you say like, wow, this really changed Topeka? Mm-hmm. I know there's many, but if you can name one that's like, I'll forever remember this specific project.
So the word project kind of trips me up a little bit because I think there has been a lot of initiatives and even just the formation of the Greater Topeka Partnership. I know that sounds a little self-serving, but I was here before the partnership was formed, and I worked for GO Topeka when it was just the GO Topeka and the Chamber, and then separate from us was Downtown Topeka and Visit Topeka. And so the segmentation of that work, I think, really caused a lot of maybe slower progress. And so just the formation of the Greater Topeka Partnership and Matt coming in at the right time to really shake the community and wake us up. I learned a lot from him and really am grateful for the time that I spent under his leadership. And I think that was a really pivotal time, creating the partnership and telling our community and telling ourselves that we can be more than we had been for the past 15, 20 years. And just really reviving that community morale. So I've seen a lot of changes, seen, a couple different seasons of the organization because of that transformation. And then, thankfully our community continues to grow and change. And downtown is, I think, something that I would point to that is really tangible that, almost everyone could point to and say, oh my gosh, there's been a big visible change in downtown. And we're not done yet. There's a lot more to do.
Yeah, definitely. We were earlier talking about the traffic and the construction and everything and how that's evolving. Okay, speaking of transition, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Talk to me about the process and announcement behind Matt Pravarnik announcing his departure and just the toll I'm sure it took on you guys seeing that transition come about.
Yeah, anytime you lose a coworker that you're close to that really has a lot of impact in the team, that's tough, right? I think there's just a lot of unknowns for us, like, what kind of leader does the business community and do our stakeholders want for the next phase of the Greater Topeka Partnership and leadership in the community? And, then understanding from ourselves how we were going to continue to lean on each other in that transition period and just making sure that we kept our heads down and kept marching forward, through that transition period. And we were fortunate to have Stephanie Moran step into the interim role. She's a current member of our leadership team. And so that really helped for continuity as well.
Yeah. Let's get into your vision for the next chapter of Topeka. And what do you want and hope that people can specifically know about your leadership, right? I know they're familiar, again, with you being in leadership, but as far as like your style, what can people expect?
Yeah, I'm pretty open book. I'm really I consider myself an authentic person and really want to be my whole self at all times, and hope I can stay true to that. I hold integrity very high, and so I one of the things that I was taught really early on is never to use information as currency, and so I know that there are a lot of things that we do within the partnership that seem like, we're keeping it under wraps and keeping things secret, but there's reasons for that. There's a lot of implications in some of the projects we're working on. But my leadership style is really that I want to continue to be more collaborative. And like I mentioned before, I want to look at who the best person is to move things forward. I've always said that, as long as someone in the community is doing it and that person is, skilled and capable to lead something, that's all we should care about. We want to be a solution and a catalytic organization, but there are sometimes organizations out there who are doing great work that we could partner with and just understand that coming alongside them and being a cheerleader for them and amplifying what they're doing is our role in some places too.
Talk to me about the lessons in leadership. You've been doing this more than a decade, right? I'm sure you've learned so much along the way, challenges. But if you could make this even just like a leadership moment and share just leadership advice that you could give to other leaders out there.
Sure.
What's one thing that you could take away?
Well, I mentioned the information as currency. I think people get tempted of like, oh, let me tell you this. This is what's going on. Don't tell anyone, but this is what we're doing. I am not tempted to do that anymore, but some people do that. And I would say, don't do that. From a staff leadership perspective, I really kind of have a coaching style and try to do a lot more listening and try to ask leading questions that will help that person understand what their next best step should be instead of just saying, go do this, go do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's helpful. And finding opportunities for the team to grow. I'm really excited about that because I think there's a lot of great talent in the Greater Topeka Partnership, and finding opportunities to put those people into positions that may feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but that I see that they have the opportunity to grow in, and I know they can do well, and just finding out what their passions are. Our team at GO Topeka took a survey. It's something like whatever your love languages are, but in the workplace.
Because, ooh, what are yours?
I forget what it's called, but
my gosh, that's cool.
It was really cool because it really helped me as a leader of that staff team understand what drives them and what their why is to, as much as you can, give opportunities for people to
awesome.
Scratch that itch.
So it wasn't like your typical DISC test.
No, it's more like how do you
in the workplace? That's interesting.
Like, how do you like to receive recognition? What are what's your communication style? Is it words? Is it gifts? Is it do you want more free time and flexibility? Or are you just driven by what your paycheck looks like? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So
that's really neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so with you being in leadership, I'm sure I think we talked about this. I think you've been as listed as CEO for more than
about 5 weeks.
5 weeks now. And so has there been a big shift already? Are you feeling the pressure, the weight as far as okay, this is a little bit different than what I used to do. What is that transition like? Just kind of taking us behind the scenes of that.
Yeah. The CEO is different than being the president of GO Topeka. The president of GO Topeka is a heavy lift, a decent sized team and a lot of responsibility. But the CEO is, a few steps above that because you're now looking at not just economic development, but downtown, the chamber, tourism, and leading some really awesome leaders in those organizations has been really fun. But we also have a couple of vacancies in my previous position that we need to fill, the president of GO Topeka, and then the president of the chamber too. So that's been kind of a top focus for me, is making sure that we have our leadership team poised and ready to take on the challenges. So we're in the middle of that right now. Other than that, as I mentioned before, Stephanie Moran did a really good job of making sure that the culture and the norms were maintained throughout that transition time. And we have a lot of energized employees here. So it's been great. But I've been just flooded with feedback and suggestions and ideas from everybody inside these four walls and outside. And I welcome that.
Do you feel comfortable sharing as far as what are some feedback or suggestions that you've received that you're I never expected to receive that, or kind of that is interesting. Maybe we should look into what that looks like down the future and down the line.
I don't know that there was anything that has been that specific that has made my head tilt. There's been some themes that I have seen, continue to focus on downtown, and that we're almost feeling like we're at this kind of plateau. That we really need something to drive downtown development to the next level. And so a sense of urgency around downtown. That wasn't surprising to me, but it was affirming. And then there's varying opinions about what riverfront development should look like and whether we should focus on that or not. So that's to be determined.
Yeah, there's always suggestions on that. We should do more focused on animals, more creative things.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're receiving all of the suggestions.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Okay, let's dive a little bit more into Molly and who you are as an individual. And like I mentioned previously, leadership doesn't scare you, right? Doing these positions is something I feel challenges you, especially if you've been doing this for this long. How do you maintain your balance in professional and personal life? What does that look like? What does fun look like for Molly?
Yeah. Well, as we talked about before the camera started rolling, I've been married it'll be 20 years next year, but my husband and I have been together for 25. And so a strong partner. He has been with me through, my career before here required a lot of travel, and our kids were little at that time. So we have a really good yin and yang relationship there. And he's a great helper. Fun is usually something outdoors and not people-y. because, you know, I'm
You're
with people all the
day.
time.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's like that extrovert introvert thing. Like I'm so extroverted, but I'm becoming an introvert because like you said, you're around people all the time. But anyways, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so a smaller circle of people that I have been friends with for a long time and family members. I mean, my kids are older and so it's fun. We play a lot of cards, a lot of board games. We're at the lake and we go camping quite a bit. So outdoors, or if the weather's not great, then we're usually indoors playing cards and board games, and that's our fun.
That's
I
love that.
And the balance piece, I didn't answer that, but I feel like it's one life. And I've heard some media professionals explain it that way too, because it's not an 8 to 5 by any means. But work stuff happens during what's stereotypically life hours, and life happens during work. And I have been fortunate enough to have leaders before me that have embraced that and have encouraged that, hey, if your kid has something going on, you know, at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, we know you've got a laptop at home and you're going to be opening up that laptop and picking up, you know, extra hours outside of the typical work hours. So it's one life. I mean, we've got meetings in the evenings and activities in the evenings. And, you know, now that my kids are older, my husband can come along to some of those with me too. So it's just one big homogenous piece.
I love that. I like how you said it's one life. You know, I really do believe that. It's just kind of like you don't just turn it off. No. It's like you're always on. And that's honestly what makes you whole is because like it just becomes a part of you. And so that's a beautiful thing to hear you say from someone that is like in a high authority here. Going back into the buzz around Topeka having this strong growth and energized energy about the development of what's coming. What do you think makes our community so resilient? Just speaking to, if you could even address the myth behind like there's nothing to do in Topeka and things like that. But there is something that is special about our community that we don't tend to just stop when things get hard. Like we're still striving towards and moving forward. So what makes our community so resilient and willing to embrace change?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I think part of it's just the Midwest work ethic and the way that, you know, we're very determined. It's just the way that a lot of us were raised. Topeka is a city that I believe has historically maybe didn't talk as highly of itself, and we're getting there. We still have, you know, our fair share of detractors out there, but it's getting better. I think what's been the secret sauce over the past probably 8 to 10 years is the relationships that are formed with elected officials, business leaders, decision makers, and just ideators in the community. And the accessibility of decision makers is really something that I think we probably take for granted, but is definitely the secret sauce. It allows us to move things forward. I often tell people, and I said this in another interview I was in, that if someone comes into the community and they have an idea for something, it's not very long. You don't have to share that idea with too many people before you can make that idea a reality. Yeah. And there are people that will come around you and rally and say, yes, let's do this together. Yeah. And if you want to sit down and talk with the mayor or an elected official, you're going to run into someone that says, oh, I have his or her cell phone number. Let me just send them a text and see if they're free, you know? And so that accessibility and again, authenticity, is really great. And I hope we never lose that.
Yeah. I think you make a good point. I think that's what separates us from a bigger city and makes us so like just special. Because like you said, it's like, it's very rare that you can be like, hey, I can go interview the CEO or the mayor or elected official. It's like, you can't do that everywhere. No. So it's like understanding the opportunity and the power that we have in the Midwest. It's like very beautiful to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Talk to me about, earlier you were talking to me about how competitive that you can be sometimes when it comes to certain things. What challenges you and what excites you about that challenge?
You know, competitiveness is just something that I think people either have in them or they don't. I don't know that you can learn that.
I agree.
But my competitiveness has been challenged a bit in economic development because those projects take a long time. Yeah. And oftentimes when you lose out on an economic development project, it's for a reason that you couldn't change. You know, it's like, oh, you were too far away from X or Y, and we can't fix where we are in the nation. So that can be frustrating at times. But Yeah, I think that, just the teamwork and the team effort is definitely key, but the dynamism and the change of like this, this month we're working on X and Y, but we have no idea what we're going to be working on in 6 months from now. That is something that fuels me too.
Yeah. Earlier you talked about you guys are still looking for specific positions to fill and things like that. If you could even share the type of people you guys are looking for in order to move, certain economic development pieces forward, and type of, partners, you mentioned that, like if we could collaborate with certain types of people, what do they look like?
I think ego is something that could really be a detractor in the work that we're doing. Even just the formation of the Greater Topeka Partnership requires for people to understand that, you may not get the credit, or you may not be the one at the podium announcing something that's great that's going on, because there are business leaders, elected leaders, and volunteers behind the scenes that have helped make that happen. And so, usually in our field, if there's something negative happening, the staff handles that. And if there's something positive happening, then board members, elected leaders, and volunteers get to celebrate that. So, I think somebody that can understand that and just be proud and know that the work that they're doing is positive and not necessarily need that pat on the back. Be a little more humble, I guess.
Wow. It's bigger than you.
Yeah. And I mean, hard worker, because the pace in this place is second to none. I mean, we are running like crazy. And we hear that a lot from people that start here. They're like, oh my gosh, I thought this was kind of going to be a more bureaucratic pace. And it is not.
No, you're like, we are running the whole city. Come on.
Well, I don't know about that, but we're trying to make sure that we're doing our part to make things move forward. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. A little bit more about Molly. What is something that people don't really know about you?
I guess I try to be pretty polished during the week, but on the weekends I have, no makeup on. Yes. I'm outside. I like to help my husband outside with chores and the camping piece. My sister has a UTV, and so we like to drive around the back roads and drive on mud roads and get stuck and things like that. So,
and you told me you're a mother, which I was like, Molly, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I follow you on Facebook. I should know this. But I'm like, that's how you know you look so good. Because I'm like, you have 3 kids? Yeah. Where are the kids?
Yeah. Well, they're keeping me busy, that's for sure. But three kids, two really, actually, they're all 3 adults now. That we had the youngest one just turned 18 last week. So, wow. But it's a fun phase of life.
Yeah. Okay, within the last 5 years, what's something personally that you've learned about yourself that you didn't realize?
I mean, there's a lot of little things that, I do that I probably want to fix. I think I have learned that I have always prided myself on being pretty humble, and I have been challenged about that recently. And so just learning that it's okay to come out strong and to be confident. I am confident, but I think that the level that I have set, that is like, okay, this is confident and this is acceptable. But if I go over that, then I don't want to be foreseen as, overconfident. Yeah. And I have been challenged in that recently, that, your threshold's too low. You can come in way stronger than you are and still be okay. So, just being a little more, owning my confidence a little bit more, probably.
Yeah. Like taking pride in like the things that you stand on and believe in. And I think I can relate to that 100%. Yeah. It's like my friends tell me all the time, like, you don't see the value that you have in yourself. Like you're too humble. You should ask for more. I'm like, I'm okay though.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just
fine.
Helping get things done behind the scenes. I don't need the recognition. Just let's get it done.
Yeah. Okay. We're looking towards the end of the year. We're probably now, by the time this comes out, in the 4th quarter. And so you mentioned it a little bit earlier as far as like, what is your game plan for right now? But the future, as far as like the rest of the year and then looking into next year, what could people expect from you, or just even the plans behind GTP?
Sure. I think they can expect a lot more outreach, a lot more communication, and like I said, kind of open arms and understanding where we can be utilized in the future. And then, on a more technical side of things, we are nearing the end of Momentum 2027 strategy. And so we will be gearing up to get more feedback and find out what the next strategy needs to entail. And I think we'll be narrowing that scope a bit so that we can go deeper on a fewer number of things. And make a greater impact. We've made a lot of great impacts on some of kind of the deferred maintenance that the community has had. And so I think we'll be going deeper in the future.
What is your take on small businesses? One of the things I've heard about the Topeka community is that we are built behind the backs of small businesses. And so what hopefully can small businesses can expect from you guys? Or is there a way that we can even bring more of them in to be part of more of the initiatives?
Yeah, so the Small Business Council has kind of gone through an overhaul over the past year, 18 months. And I think they've really found a good spot to provide resources and a platform for discussion and things like that. But there's more that we can do. And GO Topeka has a lot of resources, but sometimes people aren't aware of those resources. So I think we just need to never think that people know where to find those resources, and we need to probably do a better job of getting out into the community more frequently to take those resources and those conversations out into the communities. It's hard for small businesses to peel away and come to a training or a class or a networking event because they're running their business. So finding more ways to get in front of people and have those open conversations. Small businesses are super important for this community. It's what makes us unique. It's what makes us have our unique identity as a community. So, but I think we're doing a good job of really trying to understand what the needs of small businesses are. And we've got great partners in OmniCircle and with the K-State Extension Office and other statewide partners, but that could grow deeper.
Okay. So I know you mentioned this earlier, how you're an extrovert slowly becoming an introvert, but I'm sure many people could still expect seeing you out in the community and things like that. So if you can even take this time to even share and express, if someone wanted to share their suggestions or expressions behind what they hope to see in the community, would you encourage them to come speak to you?
Oh, yeah. I think there will be a series of ways to connect with the partnership, and we want to hear how to connect with more people that maybe we haven't been able to get in front of in the past. So but I think, our business unwinds are a really great resource and a great opportunity to just have kind of those one-off water cooler conversations that aren't just formal and just kind of pick people's brains. And we're always geared up and ready for those kinds of conversations.
Yeah. And I think even lastly, too, when people see people transitioning in leadership, they almost immediately think, oh my gosh, change is coming. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for the Topeka community? Is there any concerns or anything that people should have when it comes to the transition of you stepping into leadership?
I don't think we're at a time that we needed to, flip the organization on its head or look at things differently or take a complete, left turn or something like that. I think there are always tweaks and changes that can be made and we can improve in all kinds of areas. But I don't foresee any big changes coming down the pike. I think that one of the reasons why I was also interested in this role, and I think one of the reasons I was chosen, is to keep that momentum and to accelerate even more into the future. So it's not a jump in, push play, let the tape roll. It's like, okay, where do we need to direct our efforts and our energy to get something across the finish line and create some wins and continue that velocity?
That's awesome. Okay. I always ask a lot of people this. When you're in leadership, there's always things I'm sure that you do to intake as far as reading books, listening to podcasts, developing yourself personally. What does that look like for you?
Yeah. So I read books. I listen to books. Read the Wall Street Journal a lot. Listen to the Wall Street Journal because, you got to do what you can to
Is this a part of your morning routine?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then I have a lot of conversations with all of our elected leaders, business leaders, to hear what they're doing. I watch all the city council meetings, all the county commission meetings,
the long meetings,
And then I'm involved outside of the community in my professional networks too. So it's important to understand what my peers are doing. And I have networks outside the community so I can tap into them and say, hey, what are you guys doing over in Colorado or Texas or Arizona? And just to understand the industry as a whole. So those are just a few things.
Yeah. Okay. So what does your your morning routine look like? Are you like a 5 a.m. person?
No.
Okay, me neither.
No. On an ideal morning, I like to have a slower morning, and I like to get up around like 6 or 6:30, take my shower, drink my coffee, and while I'm doing that, I'm listening to things, right? Oh yeah, coffee always. I'm listening to
How many a day though?
Oh gosh, well, I'm an espresso girl. So at home, I'm espresso. I'm a double shot espresso. No, double shot espresso with some milk and either honey or vanilla or something.
Okay. I love this.
But yeah, do a lot of my, checking out on what the news is saying for the day, just the daily stuff. Okay. And then I'm usually checking in with my team pretty early in the day as well. And then I like to see what my inbox looks like. Okay. And then, but
early in the morning or like after your coffee?
After my coffee. After my coffee. Yeah.
I did make sure.
Yeah. And then, but I'm to the One Life thing again. The night before, I would have already looked at my schedule for the day. So that's like what am I going to wear? Yeah. What's my day look like? How late am I going to be? Do I need to bring my lunch? All that stuff, So it's just a continuous cycle. But when I'm driving, because I've got that 15 to 20 minute commute, I'm listening to something, whether it's a podcast or something like that. And then usually my physical book, I like to have a physical book to read.
I like how you emphasize on physical.
Yeah, I have a Kindle. I do that. I listen.
The physical is like there's nothing like it.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree.
So usually that is my right before bed is my physical book reading time.
So that's like a part of your nighttime. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And somewhere in there, I've got to clean my house and see what my kids are up to and talk to my husband. So
and do all the fun things.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know we talked about the whole One Life thing. So are you kind of the type of person that looks at your emails on the weekends too?
Yes.
You're diving in on the weekends, Molly.
I am. I know.
Not good.
I know.
I'm just kidding. You're talking to someone. I work 24/7.
It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard to shut it off sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you just care so much.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, I'm just making sure we're on top of things.
Yeah. And I'm not always responding to things, but I'm at least checking and seeing if there are any fires or anything that has popped up. But then if I've got downtime and I'm sitting in the car or my husband's watching a TV show I'm not interested in, then I might as well get, some productivity in. So.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Any other just details you want the Topeka community to know more about Molly Howey?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. Like I said, I really am excited about the future of the community. I'm excited that I've got some young adult children that are living here that have chose to move back here. And that's a piece of my why too, is really listening to them and understanding so that hopefully when they start families, I'll be able to keep them close.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Molly, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And if you have questions or have any interest on seeing specific people here on the Behind the Scenes podcast with the TK Business Magazine, don't hesitate to reach out to us today. In the meantime, have a blessed day. We'll see you next time.